This is the Charizard battle deck, and this is the list. It's probably one of the best products that Pokemon has ever released as far as like competitive TCG goes, but the list is still a little bit, it's not all the way there. So I'm going to see if I can win a game with the list the way it is, and then I'm going to show you what I would change about it and what I think are the cheapest ways to make the deck competitively viable in any sense at all. Just go over a couple cards. Charizard, of course, stage 2 with the ability accelerates 3 fire energy from the deck, can attach them in any way you like. For 2 fire, 180 plus 30 for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if your opponent took 4 prize cards, we're doing 300. A really good card. It has high HP at 330. Pidgeot lets the deck function. It's another stage 2, but it has an ability. We can get any card we want out of our deck once during our turn, and we can only use 1 quick search ability each turn. It also has an attack for 2 colorless, 120, and we may discard a stadium in play. We have the Moltres. This card's terrible, but there's 3 of them in here, so it's here. The ability, if it has a fire attached to it, it has no retreat cost, and for 3 fire, we can snipe 120 to one of our opponent's bench Pokemon. The ace spec they give you is Prime Catcher. This is an insane card. We switch our opponent's one of their bench to the active, and we also switch one of our bench to our active. So yeah, it's really good. This card is worth almost as much as the theme deck cost. So definitely good value here. Let's see how the list functions. So this first game, we are up against a mirror match, which is not ideal. We're pretty much inherently disadvantaged in any mirror match situation when it comes to a theme deck. Like I said, this is a good product, but I don't know why they still just don't want to give you the best kind of deck list. I don't know if they don't want to put that many cards into circulation, or they want to keep them closer to the level of other theme decks, even though I think that this deck would destroy any of the battle decks ever made, more than likely. But yeah, we get Iono to 6 into a dead hand. So I just bench my Pokemon, use TM Evo. I just evolve both of the Charmanders on the bench because I figure that they have pretty good odds to get into 1 Candy Dusknoir to knock out one of my Charmeleons. And I wanted to hopefully have an attack next turn. So I figure they can knock out the active, one of the bench Charmeleons, and I can still evolve and start attacking. They get off to a pretty good turn because, they have Rotom. And Rotom is really important in this deck. I never realized exactly how important the Rotom is, but after playing without Rotom or Lumineon or even Cleffa, I'm just yeah, that card is way better than I thought. Because this, when you look at the League Battle deck version, it's got more middle evolutions, more actual draw supporters. So it seems like it looks a little more consistent almost, just less powerful because you don't have the Dusknoir and Forest Sealstone and stuff like that. But after playing it, it's just less powerful and less consistent. My opponent just played 4 rare candies, by the way. And if the deck just had 1 TM Devo in it, I would just win the game, I'm pretty sure. And I couldn't remember if it had a TM Devo in it or not. So I play the game out a little bit more. Mostly kind of, I don't know. There's no way I'm winning this game, but I figure maybe my opponent could mess up. Maybe there is a Devo in the deck. And yeah, I check here, there's not. I Ultra Ball away the Prime Catcher. They have all the energy that they need in the deck. I could have Prime Catchered up the Rotom, but I played out the rest of the cards in my hand. I could have just not attached fire and Ultra Balled that away. I don't think it really matters at this point, because I don't think there's very much that I can do. My plan here is they knock out my Pidgey, I go Rare Candy Charizard next turn and Defiance Band and knock out their active. And if they don't evolve to a Charmeleon, I think I win the game. But of course, they just grab the Charmeleon. Makes sense. That's how they make sure that they don't lose. So at this point, I don't really think that there is anything I can do, especially after they just Iono me into another completely dead hand. That is kind of the theme of the game. Just getting Iono'd into a complete brick. So yeah, as you can see, the deck is a little more clunky than it looks for sure. But I don't know, that game wasn't close, but I'm sure they all won't be that bad. Alright, this game we are immediately up against Regidrago. This is the next game that I played, and it's oh man, this is not good because this matchup is just bad all the time. But I was thinking maybe I can knock out the Ogre Pawns with a Moltres to take 2 prizes to kind of switch the prize trade. But of course now, after the fact, I discovered that Moltres only hits the bench, which makes it way worse than I even thought. I just assumed it would hit the active. Like attacks like this for 3 colored energy usually, you know, have a little more flexibility, but apparently it only hits the bench. Maybe they think the ability is too strong, which is if you have a fire on it, it can have free retreat, or it has free retreat, which is only a strong ability if it's on a strong Pokemon. So I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. They kind of cancel each other out. So apparently my plan would have never worked anyway, and I would have been very sadly mistaken. Probably should read the cards. That's why you always read the cards. It's pretty important. I could snipe a Mew twice or like Fezandipiti twice with it, but that wouldn't really make sense. I don't know. I'm just basically hoping my opponent messes up and that I can just figure out a way to win is kind of how I was going about these games. There's not much you can do when you're playing like an inherently weaker deck, but yeah. Charizard is a strong enough card to kind of make up for that. Like I think against Miraidon or anything like that, this deck would have no problem just winning the game. Maybe Miraidon's a little bit harder of a matchup now, but that style actually is just specifically Miraidon, because Roaring Moon and Raging Bolt would be a hard matchup for this deck because you don't have the Radiant Charizard to cancel out the prize trade. So yeah, that's not the greatest. My opponent does get an attack. They only have Executor in the discard pile, so that's definitely a plus for me. If they started attacking with Dragapult right now, I would basically lose the game. If they attacked with Kyurem right here, like that would suck, but it wouldn't really do the most because I think they're down 3 energy switches. And that's like, I think the main reason that I stuck in this game was because they milled double energy switch or used one preemptively and then milled another one off of their B-Star and then used another one. So yeah, they're down 3. Maybe even 4, I can't remember. I wish I could like interact with the discard pile after the fact, but I can't. Iono into just another dead hand. I have TM Evo, but the worst part about the TM Evos in this deck are you can't even Evo into your Charizards, so they're like more or less kind of pointless. Or they're not pointless, like getting into Charmeleon is nice, getting into Pidgeotto is nice, but I attach it and use Call for Family anyway, just because, like I said, I have no need to evolve into a Charizard with no energy on it. If I could get a preemptive attachment down, I could evolve with the Evo, but I was not able to get one down because I had to attach the active to use Call for Family. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that my opponent uses a Kyurem attack before it wins them the game. Like if they use it this turn or next turn, that'd be pretty great. Then I could evolve and I would at least be guaranteed 1 turn, I think, until they can attack again. They'd have to like bench a Drago, attach to it, and wait till the next turn to attach again and use their last energy switch. But yeah, I think they do use the Executor attack this turn. They're kind of deciding what to use. It's kind of unfortunate for them that they haven't gotten Dragapult into the discard pile yet, but good for me. If they were just attacking with Dragapult this whole time, I'd already be out of the game, I'm pretty sure. And I top deck another Fire Energy, which is pretty cool. Hit the Pokestop because why not? I really have no choice. And hit for 20 with the Pidgey, which just seems kind of random, but if they take one more prize with this Drago and I like can get into an Ultra Ball next turn, it would let me knock out their active Drago with hitting for 270 with the Charizard attack. So I think it was worthwhile to do the 20 damage. And I'm just assuming here that my opponent is going to use, I think Rolling Iron is actually the best attack here, but it's kind of like chess where there is forced en passant when you have it available. When you're playing Drago, there's forced Kyurem attack if it gets you close to winning the game. So my opponent goes ahead and uses that, and I get into a Ultra Ball, which is pretty nice. And I can grab Iono and just Iono them to 1, hit them for 120 with the Pidgeot, and then hopefully get into a Charmander. That's why I super added some of the stuff back in. And there's a bunch of like ball cards in the deck, so yeah. I do get into 2 Poffins and a Charmander. I only put 1 down because I don't want to have extra just little Pokemon on my bench. But yeah, the Pidgeot attack was pretty clutch there too, because it let me get rid of the stadium. And now next turn, if, I don't know, maybe I should have hit the stadium to try and get rare candy. I just was kind of worried about milling my like boss's orders or anything like that. But we do top deck Arven. So if Prime Catcher's in the deck, I can Candy into the Charizard and Prime Catcher up the Ogerpon with 2 energy on it and knock it out. That is kind of my plan. I should only Charizard for 2 energy here. Yeah, definitely. I don't want to put extra energies on the board. It's just kind of pointless. I could attach one to the Pidgey. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but yeah. Now I'm just going to quick search for the... Hopefully I don't grab a rare candy. Oh, I was thinking about Ultra Balling here for my other Pidgeot and then candying into the Pidgeot to I was thinking it would put everything on my board out of Ogerpon range, which just doesn't make sense at all. It would stop me from losing to a Dragapult attack, which would definitely be nice, but the Moltres on my bench and the Charizard and the active are always going to be able to be knocked out by Ogerpon. So yeah, I just knock out the Ogerpon with 2 energy so they can't immediately just knock me out for free. And next turn I can try and evolve the Pidgey so that it eventually I can get it into a Pidgeot, and then I won't be knocked out by Kyurem or anything like that. My opponent wastes their Prime Catcher here. I think that they're just kind of panicking after that Kyurem attack. They just used it a turn early. Maybe they thought they were winning the game off of it, like watching this back based on how they're playing the rest of the game out. I wonder if they like got like didn't keep track of their prizes well in their head. They were thinking they were going to win, because they're kind of playing this out a little weird. But they Iono and we draw into the Pidgeotto. This one does have free retreat. We actually draw into 2 of them, so I can retreat, and I'm going to grab a boss with Pidgeot because that's what Pidgeot does. It says grab boss, knock out whatever you want with Charizard. And here I could knock out the Fezandipiti, the Ogerpon, or the Regidrago, and I do end up just knocking out the Ogerpon. I don't know, maybe the Fezandipiti would have been the best option. What I was thinking is if they get into boss and bring back 2 grass energies, they could boss up either my bench little Pokemon, use the Ogerpon ability and attach. In this way, the only attacker that they have is the Radiant Charizard, and they're already down 2 Super Odd. They were down 2 Super Odd pretty early in the game, so I didn't think that they had a way to get back the Radzard and attack with it. So we do end up winning that game, luckily, because of Kyurem. The Kyurem can be pretty devastating at times, but in my experience, most of the time it actually like screws my opponent over, and they end up being super far behind after using the attack, especially if you can like Iono and start hitting things off of their bench instead of like dealing with the active or whatever. They had a damage active Drago, so they were thinking, oh, just gonna knock that out while I build up my other Drago in the background. But luckily this theme deck comes with a bunch of gust effects. So these are the changes that I think you can make without buying any cards. The one that I'm unsure about is Thorton. I'm pretty sure that comes with one of the decks you get for free. And you might need to buy the Cleffa, which is 40 credits, and it's just a good investment. So I definitely think that's worth grabbing. But yeah, we basically cut a lot of the middle evolution and all the Moltres for just more consistency in a way, like extra Nest Balls, Lumineon, the Fezandipiti, which you should get both of those for free. And I think that either Cleffa or Rotom is completely necessary. I don't think that Rotom comes with any of the free decks, so I didn't put that or Forest Hailstone in here, but you could easily cut the Pidgeotto and the TM Evo for Rotom and Forest and have like a really solid Charizard deck. I also cut the researches for Arven's. The deck just functions better with Arven, which is pretty unfortunate because I don't really enjoy playing Arven decks, but yeah. There's also no counter catcher in here. I went through all the decks that I think you get for free. I didn't see that any of them came with counter catcher, but could certainly add one of those. And I also didn't think it was super necessary because we have the Prime Catcher, but could just cut the switch for counter catcher. There's also no Manaphy in here. There's definitely a debate to put Manaphy in the deck right now. Basically the extra slots in here that if you want to just start buying cards or with the credits are the 2 Fire Energy, the TM Evo, the Pidgeotto, and the Switch are like like pretty easy cuts and would definitely be fine. You could also get rid of one of the Charmeleons because you really only need one. There's not very much TM Devo around right now, so one Charmeleon would definitely be fine. Yeah, so I think that this is probably the most efficient like way to start with the deck online. Obviously, once you start like winning more games and get higher up in rankings and stuff, you're going to want to just go on Limitless and build like an actual Charizard deck. But I think that this would get you like all the way to at least like Ultra Ball, maybe even Master Ball League, probably just fine off the back of Charizard being strong. Now, if you're going to build this in real life, I think that this is the smallest amount of changes that are the cheapest that could be made to the deck to make it kind of competitive and at least like more fun to play and so that it functions a little better. Rotom's cheaper in real life, like you don't get a free one online, I'm pretty sure, and Forest is only a couple dollars. Now, like I said before, this is not like the optimal list. These are just like you buy the deck, these are the smallest amount of changes before I would bring it to a challenge or a cup. Obviously, you would look up on limitlesstcg.com, check the Charizard deck, like see how people are building them most often, who's doing the best and stuff, and build that list or be inspired from that list. But yeah, I'm trying to keep it as cheap as possible here. And if you want to just go all out and build the best Charizard list, here is the list that won the Stuttgart Regional. So there you go. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.